Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is Leanne Presents. I am your host, Alan. This is your other host, Leanne. And this is chapter 3 of our Halloween horror movie clash 2022. So what we've done, just a quick rundown, we've taken 16 movies that were released in the year of 2022 up until this point, and we've kind of watched them, given our impressions on them in chapters 1 and 2, which we'll put a link somewhere here. We think it's up here somewhere, or it might be on this side, I don't know, one of the sides. There'll be a link, go back and watch those if you want to sort of see the sort of nitty-gritty of what we thought about these, all 16 movies. It's 1 through 8 in the first chapter, obviously, and 9 through 16. They are talked about in release order. So they kind of go from Scream was one of the first of the year, and then they go down all the way to Halloween Ends, which is the last one that we saw that was released on October 14th. So we've gone through all of the films, we've watched them all, we've talked about them, and now we've got a matchup on the bracket, which we'll throw up on full screen somewhere about now. And you can see the matches themselves. So we've got Prey will face My Best Friend's Exorcism. Scream, 2022 version, will face The Invitation. Grim Cutty will face Choose or Die. Studio 666 will face Hellraiser. On the right-hand side of the bracket, we've got Margot facing The Black Phone. We've got Bodies, Bodies, Bodies versus Speak No Evil. We've got Halloween Ends versus The Incantation. And lastly, X versus Nope. Okay, and now you're back with us. Thank you for bearing with us while we just checked that graphic up on the screen. So, I don't think there's really much else to read to talk about to preface this. So we're going to go down the left side of the bracket, then the right side to determine the quarterfinals. Then we'll be doing the quarterfinals, left to right, semi-finals, left to right, and finally we'll determine the winner in the finals.
Finally, the finals.
So, first up, we've got Prey versus My Best Friend's Exorcism.
This was a no-brainer.
Yeah, My Best Friend's Exorcism, right?
No, it was Prey. Yeah, it was hands down.
Why Prey?
Well, cinematically better, writing better, acting better, scariness better. Just across the board, tick.
The sound couldn't, like the sound on Prey, I think what it prided though. The sound on Prey was so much better than My Friend's Exorcism.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say I hated My Best Friend's Exorcism. No. I think it was just unfortunate that it kind of got stuck in this first particular bracket with Prey.
And so, like for younger people getting into horror movies, My Best Friend's Exorcism would be like
it's an age gateway movie, definitely. Yeah. I think it was a 12 rated movie. It's on Amazon Prime.
It just got unlucky because the picks, where things were in the initial chart was pretty random. So
yeah. So we obviously 1 through 16 through the release date. We chucked them into a random number generator, and this is the order they come out in.
Someone had to go against Prey in the first round.
Yeah, I feel sorry for anyone else going up against something like Hellraiser or Halloween, but we'll get there when we get there. Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. Prey is definitely the going through to the quarterfinals.
Yep.
Like I said, My Best Friend's Exorcism had some redeeming moments. It had some really nice shots in there, really cinematic moments in there, but it really couldn't hold up to something like Predator. So straight off the bat, Plasma Caster straight to the head. My Friend's Exorcism, you're gone. Goodbye. Second match, Scream versus The Invitation.
Bit closer on this one.
Yes.
I picked Scream.
Yep.
Nice. The Invitation was great, but I think when we talked about the films, we talked about...
Great. Are you going that far?
Wait, I'm getting it mixed up.
You're mixing it with Incantation.
No, not Incantation. Speak No Evil.
Oh, okay.
Because there's an invitation involved, my brain's going...
Oh, yeah, okay, I can see that.
But no, Invitation wasn't great.
No.
It was closer than the other match, but...
Again, had some redeeming moments.
Yeah, it did.
If this had gone up against My Best Friend's Exorcism, what would you have picked?
Oh, that's actually pretty tricky. I think The Invitation might have won out by a narrow margin.
Just because it's a little bit more adult in the theme.
Yes.
And it felt a lot more like a horror movie. Well, depends if the sparkling disco balls or not, but let's not go in that direction.
No. So Scream.
So yeah, Invitation had some redeeming moments, had some fairly decent actors in there, had some decent acting in there, but I think Scream it was more of a powerhouse juggernaut. It's part of an established franchise. Yeah. Scream's a slasher.
It's got the nostalgia factor as well, which while it shouldn't like put the film up, it does. If you've got the nostalgia from the earlier films, you're gonna enjoy
The thing with Scream though is it not only has the nostalgia factor, but it's also doing something new with that factor.
Yes.
You know, like we talked about in video one, when we talked about Scream,
it's not just a straight up rehashing.
Yeah, no, Ghostface had a bulletproof vest. In the previous movies, none of them had a bulletproof vest.
Yep.
You know, so
yeah,
and obviously you've got Courtney Cox, David Arquette, Neve Campbell, phenomenal actors and actresses all around, superb, and love to see them back in those roles, and just great. It was again that nostalgia effect.
Yes.
Okay, this next one's probably going to be a lot closer. Grim Cutty versus Choose or Die.
Yeah, this was closer. Both films have had a very interesting concept and good acting and quite good visuals and definitely some spook factor in there.
I think in terms of visuals, I would probably say Choose or Die edges it out.
Yes.
It rooted and felt more realistic than Grim Cutty, but then Grim Cutty worked on that unrealistic level because it looked so unreal.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a bit of an awkward one.
Yeah.
In terms of story, definitely Choose or Die. I felt that was a lot more compelling than Grim Cutty.
Yeah, I would agree. I have chosen Choose or Die as my pick for this.
We've not seen each other's brackets yet, guys, just so you know, but I have also chosen Choose or Die.
I do get the feeling that we're going to be a lot closer in our estimates than initially thought.
I think so. So you could say that Grim Cutty chose to die.
Yes. Grim Cutty got cut.
Cool. Yeah. So Choose or Die is going through to the quarterfinals. Okay.
This next one's going to be so hard.
This next one is going to be so difficult.
So hard.
Studio 666 versus Hellraiser. Now let's stop and think about this, okay? In terms of gore and scariness and spook factor, which one do you think wins out on this one?
Hellraiser.
I mean, at least think about it firstly.
I did.
Okay.
For as long as I needed
In terms of story, which one wins out on this one?
Hellraiser.
In all the other 4 categories, which one wins out in this one?
Studio 666. No, Hellraiser.
Absolutely. Studio 666 literally had no chance.
No.
Against any of these movies. You could put Studio 666 against Margot, and it would still lose.
Just.
But
it would.
Just.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely Hellraiser. For me, that nostalgia as well. I love Hellraiser. I love the original movies. I need to get a copy of the Hellbound Heart to read. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if they're going to do more Hellraiser stuff. This has had critical acclaim across the board.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Just rightly so as well.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the left side done. So the first 2 quarterfinal matches we have are Prey versus Scream, and then Choose or Die versus Hellraiser. Now we're going to flip over to the other side of the board, on the right-hand side, where we first have Margot versus The Black Phone. Leanne.
It's Margot, so no. It did have redeeming qualities, some.
The idea was good.
Yeah, it was a great concept.
Turn my mic this way because it's quite. Let's see if it's on camera. I don't think it's on camera though. So, it did have some redeeming qualities in terms of the premise was interesting.
Black Phone was like one of the creepiest films. Not the creepiest, but one of. It was right up there of all of the films we watched. It had me on edge for parts, which. It's that tension, that creepiness that a lot of the other films, even though maybe they'd have been better in other aspects, it was there.
In terms of and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this one, but in terms of storyline, I believe Margot had the more intriguing story.
Yeah.
But also had the worst execution of said story.
Yes.
That's the problem. Black Phone was a decent story. It had an interesting premise, but I feel that a smart house that's becoming sentient and murdering people. In this day and age, that's a lot more relevant.
Yeah.
And obviously, Black Phone is rooted in the 70s, and I understand that.
But the general concept in Black Phone is quite... It's not something... It's something that's been done before. I know it adds other elements in there and does it very well. But I guess the, kids getting kidnapped, that's in a lot of things. A smart home going homicidal.
Yeah. And again, kind of as soon as I saw Joe Hill had written the short story that Black Phone's based upon, I said Stephen King is his dad. I love Stephen King in terms of, I don't love Stephen King. I like some of the stuff he's done. I can't get through his books because they're a bit too descriptive.
Yep.
But some of the adaptations that I've seen, like It Chapter 1, It's one of my all-time favorite horror movies, all time. And this, I've got this shirt here. This is it. And I wanted to represent this during this tournament because I absolutely love that movie, even the Tim Curry one as well. And as I don't want to say Chapter 2 is bad because it wasn't, but it wasn't on par with Chapter 1.
No.
But it's still a good movie.
Yeah.
But and just to point that out, I am picking The Black Phone.
Yes, me too.
I'm not picking Margot because it had so much going wrong with it in terms of everything. So the premise was good.
The arms.
Absolutely. The premise, the idea, the whole basic idea of it was fascinating. The execution, the gore factor, the scare factor, everything else pretty much about it just was not that great.
Yeah.
And whilst there wasn't much gore in terms of The Black Phone, that spook factor, that tension was just up there, So yeah, Black Phone is winning that one between Margot and Black Phone.
Nice.
This could be a difficult one. Next up, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies versus Speak No Evil.
Yeah, I did have a bit of trouble with this matchup.
This wasn't my worst one to try and decide though.
Yeah, I think they have such a different vibe to those two films, and they both had really great aspects, but some not so great aspects. I've chosen Speak No Evil mostly for the more horror element. I think Bodies, 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 while it did have gore and sort of horror in a sense, it felt more like teenagers having a good time, things happening.
I said Black Phone, so Speak No Evil had a lot more tension.
Yes.
It kind of had a way of dragging you into the main story itself and kind of putting you in the shoes of the visitors.
Yeah, definitely. That relatable
and as they kind of as we spoke about in Chapter 1, I was trying to think which other Chapter 1, we talked about how the host would kind of talk to the visitors, and the visitors were like, oh, we're leaving, we don't think we're having a good time, and then the host would be like, well, what have we done? We don't see anything that we've done wrong, I don't understand what's... And they had a way of flipping it on its head, and that kind of made you feel really uncomfortable, because you're like, are they really just kind of being paranoid about this?
Yeah.
Or is there something going on? And it kind of kept you on that knife edge almost.
Definitely.
Whereas the twist in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies was great.
So good.
The end of that, the twist when that's all revealed was fantastic.
It was.
I don't know if there's enough in that to outdo Speak No Evil.
No, completely agree.
Definitely has more gore, but doesn't have tension.
Yeah, I think if we were, if like comedy or something had been any part of our rankings for this, then Bodies, Bodies, Bodies would have edged it.
Yes.
But this is a horror tournament at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And Speak No Evil did it. It did horror better,
I mean, that's not to say that horror comedy is not a bad thing.
No,
that's not to say comedy elements in a horror film is a bad thing, because it's not. This is something Scream. And that won its match,
Yes.
But yeah, I think this was mislabeled. This should have been a thriller.
Okay.
Excuse me, I got wind. This should have been a thriller more than a horror, I believe. But yet it's still listed as a horror. So, which did you pick?
Speak No Evil.
That makes two of us. So, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies has become the latest body in the list of casualties. Okay, here we go. Halloween Ends versus The Incantation.
It's another close
My
one.
God, I had so much trouble deciding this one.
It's again, they're very different types of horror. So you got the slasher, which has the nostalgia. And then you've got...
The established franchise of 44 years.
Yeah, and then you've got the creepy
Asian horror,
which...
It's just psychological.
And it's sort of... I don't know whether the love of the franchise has edged this ahead, because I have gone for Halloween Ends. I think... If Incantation had more of those scenes, like that one that made me have to stop watching for a night, if there was more of that throughout, it might have clocked it up.
Yeah.
But the fact that it had one, and then it was still had horror and tension and things, but it sort of it peaked too soon, I suppose.
Okay.
It was excellent. Not gonna put it down for that. Halloween Ends. The gore, I don't know. I think I've realised doing this tournament that I love the gore. I really do. That's what sort of just the visceral visuals that you get from it and the way that they've done it. I know a lot of people did not like this film, didn't like Halloween Ends. I've heard people saying it didn't feel like a Halloween film to them because Michael Myers wasn't in it. But in my view, if you had it, Michael and Laurie, the whole way through, it's just the same film as the others, just remade again. And I feel like to end it, it was the right thing to do, to flip it a bit, have someone else be almost the main, or someone else being Michael Myers. I think that it was, they didn't fall back on lazy writing. And yeah, I don't know, I'm going on a tangent. I think Halloween Ends wins, but not by much.
Okay. This was really difficult, and I kind of sat back and looked at it, and I felt what was the one that was the most intriguing and the one I didn't sort of... And much like yourself, I've grown up watching Halloween. I actually love the Halloween franchise. I've picked them all up on 4K that have released thus far. At quite a substantial cost for some of them because they are difficult to get hold of in the UK. But that whole thing with Corey being Michael, I didn't like it as much. I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a fan of it.
Okay.
So... in terms of that, Incantation, I felt, was a lot scarier as well.
Fair enough.
Even after the sort of, when you talked about sort of having to stop.
Yeah.
Even after that, it was still that very unknown and something that was controlling everyone else from the outside, and that spirit was, and the guy just bashing his face into the desk.
That was pretty cool.
And then at the end, when she ends up doing the same, and it's like, oh wow, this is just absolute brutality because no one is surviving this.
You know, what might have swayed me a bit is that it was the last film we watched.
Oh, maybe.
That could... I'm not saying that it was, but it's the one that's freshest in my mind. So potentially when I've been doing rankings, it gets the edge for that, which isn't the right way to do it. But that's why we're comparing notes and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you've gone for Incantation.
I've gone for Incantation.
Ooh, first disagreement.
So,
okay.
I guess now then, it would possibly be a way then, how would you sway me to pick Halloween Ends? If you had a choice, so let's treat this like a debate, okay?
No.
How would you sway me to choose Halloween Ends?
I was in a debate club in high school. Can't remember any of the techniques.
I was going to make a very inappropriate joke then, but I thought I better not.
Why should you pick Halloween Ends? The wood chipper scene.
Okay.
The child falling off the balcony.
That was friggin' brutal.
And the for the love of the franchise.
For the love of the franchise. For the love of the franchise. So, I'll throw back to another franchise from my head just to make a point. Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
I think it was the 5th one, where someone else was copycatting Jason.
Yeah.
Is that Jason?
No.
Is Corey Michael?
No.
Is it technically still part of the franchise if the majority of the film isn't the same person?
He was still there.
Do you watch Halloween movies for Michael, or do you watch it for some guy named Corey?
I watch him for Laurie.
Alright, fair point. Okay, so, you watch a horror film for what?
Gore.
That's it? Not for the uncomfortableness?
For the spooks,
to kind of get spooks?
Yeah, it's spooks.
You absolutely cannot deny Incantation had the better...
It did have the better
scare
spooks.
factor, that tension factor, that
What's my
unsettlingness to it. Because, correct me if you're wrong, did you or did you not, about 20 minutes into the film, say, we need to stop this because I don't know if I can carry on with this tonight?
Spook factor, Incantation definitely won for me.
Yes. There's absolutely no way. You'd have to be blind not to see the spook factor.
Halloween Ends won in terms of the villain for me. I think I've added the scores up
That's a
wrong.
ridiculously high score. Look
I've
at that.
added the scores up
Have
wrong.
you? Someone
Okay.
can't math.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, you have. That is severely bad. Well, how have you managed to get an extra 4 points?
I have no idea.
You can't do one twice.
Ah, that's what I've done. But you know what that does?
It evens them out.
It evens them out exactly. Yeah, so Incantation had one extra on spook gore factor.
Yeah.
Halloween Ends had one extra on villain, which I think you'd probably agree with.
I agree. Once Michael started coming back and you sort of see him have that final flourish, that was great. And that kill scene at the end was great when she pins him to the table, slits his throat, slits his wrists.
Yeah.
They put him in a wood chipper. That's fantastic.
It was so good. Fine, I'm changing mine to
But
Incantation.
no. If you want to stick with Halloween, that's fine. But
I don't know that I do now. They were exactly even.
So let's go on this track, right? If you had to pick one film, you've got 2 hours to watch one of those films right now. What are you picking?
Halloween Ends. I'm sorry, I would though. I like it's because I'm not. For the reasons that I would have had to turn off Incantation after those first 20 minutes, that would put me off watching it again. I'm not denying that it was good and I enjoyed watching it.
Okay.
But like, I wouldn't want to go back and watch Annabelle because that freaked me out. I'm not saying it's a bad film, but so it's
That's what we're watching tonight, folks.
No, it's scary.
So. This is a bit of an impasse now because that's all good. I mean, to be fair, I did rate Halloween higher.
Yeah.
But again, that's the love of the franchise. But when I look back at it, I personally believe Incantation is the better horror movie in that sense.
think in terms of like, if we're going by what I've scored on the different things, and like I said, it's ultimately a horror film rating thing. So for me, the core element of that is the spook gore factor. And in that sense, Incantation wins out. So I would be happy after our little debate and me realising that I can't math, that Incantation...
You can't math.
That Incantation can move up in the tournament.
Yeah? You happy with that?
I think so.
Incantation.
And I'm going to give myself an F for maths.
Yes. I believe you should. That was awful.
It's terrible.
Now
I'm wondering if I've done it for other things as well.
All right. Last match on our first round is X versus Nope.
This one was close for me.
Yeah.
Really
there's 2 points in it for me as well.
I have 1 point between them.
Oof, that's wow.
Uh-oh,
here we go.
I know.
Go on.
Okay. X was creepy.
Creepy as F.
I think that it became a bit of a joke for me that the villain was a horny old lady.
Okay.
Which took away from it a bit.
Okay.
Nope was interesting concept. Not exactly, sort of didn't know what it was meant to be, sort of thing. But the visuals in it were great. And the acting was really good for the most part. So they both got their positives and their negatives. For me, I feel like Nope edged it slightly, but not very much. I'm willing to be talked down.
I felt that first opening scene in Nope was phenomenal. When you didn't know what it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
When you discern what it was, it lost all horror aspect for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely lost all horror aspect because it's an alien and it's hungry. I mean, it's not by no any means like, oh, okay, well that's a crap premise, because it's not.
No.
But then you're encroaching on just a simple science fiction movie. Because where was the tension? Where was the horror? It wasn't. Yeah. It was just about a bunch of people after that point trying to get a photograph of this thing. While it just sort of generating an electronic pulse.
Yeah.
I personally believe that Tom Cruise's War of the Worlds movie is more of a horror film than this movie is.
Yeah.
Because at least they show people being sucked into the machine and then is spitting out a blood dust. Because
you had blood rain.
That's only after I had bad indigestion. Yeah. Let's be perfectly honest. So for me, X is the creepiest one because it's got the tension. Because no matter if it's an old person or not, they're being stalked by someone who is picking them off one by one.
Yeah.
A la Halloween, Michael Myers. Okay. And the gore was much better in this movie.
It was. There was much more gore.
When she almost hacks his head off by stabbing him in the throat like 15 times, that was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, for the spook gore factor, X did win.
Yeah.
The ones that I gave Nope a better score was the sound.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Yeah, the sound was definitely better.
Some really good sound design. And the other one was villain. I felt like the moment the killing started in X, the tension came down for me. It wasn't that creepy old woman standing in the darkness looking at you sort of thing. It turned into a slasher, which is probably what it was aiming for.
Yeah.
But with Nope, it did feel like there was sort of, I guess it's the villain sort of bled into the visuals for me on Nope. Just seeing like how this creature works. Like we did sort of discuss that it sort of turned into a creature film rather than than an aliens or UFO kind of thing. So, and it felt like it was a good twist on the alien UFO genre.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
So it was extremely close, but X does win on being spooky for sure. No doubt about that.
So, by your own admission in the previous matchup, you said that you watch horror for what?
For the gore.
Which one had the most gore?
Oh yeah, X. I did just say.
No. I'm making. Okay, so if that's the case, how does Nope edge it for you in that sense? Because if you're in this for the gore, there was barely anything in Nope.
But it's talking about the sound and...
Hypocrite!
Well, what's the point of having sound and villain and visuals as categories if all we want to look at is the gore?
You backed yourself into this corner in this debate. You backed yourself into this corner in this one.
Fine. If we're going to look at it as the spook or the gore, because they were 1 point between them, and I have checked my maths on this one, then...
I mean, like I said,
X, it was scary.
Make me believe that Nope is better than X. Try and make me believe that. If you got these two movies and you can only show me one.
There's too many pressure.
But that's why we're here. That's what our fans want to see.
But you don't have to argue your point.
I did with Incantation.
We haven't said anything about X.
I just did.
Oh. I don't know. Well, X can win. It's fine.
Well, no, because now I feel like you're just giving in for the sake of it.
No, because I mean, it's like we said, the spook gore factor is the core feature.
Okay, so
if it's something to decide between, then that one would...
what did you score X?
15.
Okay, what did you score Nope?
16.
Okay, so if we add the scores, and I only had 2 in between mine.
I want it to be exactly even.
That'd be 36. Is it 36? Yeah. And then 9, that's 35.
Doing maths.
So X wins by 1 point if we had both scores together.
Alright, well there we go then. X it is.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Did you want to do the same then for Halloween and Incantation, just to make that fair in that sense? Okay.
So my
hang on.
recalculated score.
Yeah, so Halloween was...
24.
Yep.
And 24.
In that case, Halloween wins that one.
Yeah. Oh.
Do you want to go on that way?
I don't know.
So, I mean, this is obviously we haven't discussed this previously, as you can see already. If we're doing it by scores, which is obviously we give scores for a reason.
Yes.
Okay, so let me just add these up. So that would be minus 10? No, wait. Oh, I can't math today. 6,
Do we need a
30,
calculator?
40, 50. And that's the neighbour starting his car up. That's 46. Yeah, so there's 4 points. If we add the scores up like that, there's 4 points in between Halloween and Incantation.
Yeah.
Are we doing it by scores in that case, if we come down to a dead end like that?
Maybe.
Okay, so Halloween wins.
Okay.
The previous one. Okay. And then X wins this one by literally 1 point. That is close.
Yeah, that is close. Cool.
But then there's absolutely no way it's winning the next match anyway. So, all right, this is going to be a fun one. So we're on the quarterfinals. Okay, so going back to the left-hand side of the bracket where we've got the first quarterfinal match: Prey versus Scream. Leanne.
I don't think nostalgia's quite enough to get Scream through this one. I liked Prey very much. I thought it was such an excellent film.
Yeah.
And I feel like it had more in the way of just cinematography than a lot of the other ones. So it really does.
The thing is that
trumpet.
Scream's kind of been quite similar all the way through in terms of it's a slasher. It's only done a couple of new different things. Prey is almost like a complete reimagining of the entire franchise of Predator.
Yes.
Given that the last 2 Predator movies weren't that great, when you compare them against Predator 1 and 2, I know people go Predator 2 is crap, but it's not. This is definitely a shot in the arm for the franchise.
Yeah.
And I do believe that 20th Century Studios are actually commissioning another one from the director whose name I forget. Let me just look that up quickly.
It'll be really interesting
to
see.
I haven't got my notes here, it's on the iPad. Never mind.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. The setting of Prey was just...
Yeah.
It's something different to what we've seen before, and it's well done.
It's kind of like... It's... The Predator 2, they both kind of set in, at the time, modern day. There's Gatling guns, there's machine guns, there's all this kind of armaments and stuff. And then you've even got sort of like Predators, which was kind of in the future, and you kind of got all different energy weapons and kind of stuff. But this kind of takes you all the way back, and it kind of shows that mankind has become a bit too reliant on that stuff for survival. Whereas the folks that they're fighting in that, for the most part, are using sticks, bows, an axe, and their wits.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas the other ones kind of lost their way a little bit, I felt, and kind of just focused more on, oh, there's a gun, let's just shoot everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, no, Scream was great. Really enjoyed Scream. But yeah, I don't think it's enough to beat up Prey. Prey was more brutal. It definitely had more tension.
Yeah.
I felt that Scream, whilst it did have tension, it was a lot more of, is it them?
Yeah.
Is it that person?
Yeah, it's just the keeping you guessing kind of thing, rather than keeping you on the edge of your seat kind of thing. It's a different sort of tension.
Yeah. And as you say, it was beautifully shot.
It's so good.
So yeah, Prey's going to win that one. So Prey moves on into the semi-finals. All right, I don't know how close this one's going to be for you, but it wasn't for me. Next quarterfinal, Choose or Die versus Hellraiser.
I think points-wise, there wasn't really much in it.
I had 6 between mine.
Yeah. I only had 3, but I don't know.
Okay.
But I mean, Hellraiser definitely wins, though.
Yeah. If you're looking for the gore factor and the unsettlingness of that gore and the way that the bodies are mutilated, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason we haven't sort of based our individual brackets necessarily on our scores is the scores don't always reflect how you feel in your head afterwards. And like, if I was to just give it a score out of the air, Hellraiser would be a lot higher than Choose or Die.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the way I did it.
What did you score Hellraiser out of curiosity?
23.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's absolutely, I mean, again, no, Choose or Die had an interesting premise. That also did fall flat a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the whole chasing after her brother thing who's dead. She knows he's dead. Why is she chasing after him?
Yeah, definitely.
It felt, absolutely. But it also had some great visuals as well. It was beautifully shot in some parts. Others felt a bit flat. And obviously Robert Englund, the inclusion of that guy, is just a major plus in my mind.
Yeah.
But
it didn't really have any purpose.
If you could, okay, let's go in this sense, right? Is there anything memorable that you would go, that's why I would pick Choose or Die? If you could pick one thing out of Choose or Die that was memorable.
The rat scene.
The rat scene, yeah. Now do the same for No. Do the same for Hellraiser.
Just everything.
I literally, for me, it would be the Cenobites.
Yeah.
Because of the design, the look, everything about them. Just fantastic. Hellraiser absolutely winning this.
For sure.
Which makes the semi-final very interesting.
Yeah.
Heading back to the right-hand side, this is going to be another interesting one, I think. The Black Phone versus Speak No Evil.
Yeah, this one was fairly close. But I have chosen Black Phone.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it has more, although you're saying that Speak No Evil has quite a lot of tension and it's so interesting, Black Phone I felt had more of the elements that make a horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Whereas, I mean, obviously there's got to be some sort of gore factor in a horror film.
Yeah.
And the only gore factor you really had was in the girls getting her tongue cut off.
Yeah.
Which was like, okay, that's kind of brutal, but...
It's one and done.
I think for me, Black Phone wins because it actually gives you a bit more to the story.
And there was a resolution as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's where Speak No Evil just kind of stops and it's like...
Yeah, there's no...
Why?
No closure.
Yeah. Whereas Black Phone does. Now, I know a lot of people go, well, closure doesn't need closure all the time. But that felt that it definitely needed something a bit more to it.
Yes, it did.
Didn't necessarily have to check all the boxes and go this. But it needed something a bit more.
Yeah, you didn't have to like have them coming to justice or whatever.
No, absolutely. But kind of maybe just as they're killing the parents, or just ask why. They didn't even say, I don't believe they actually said, why are you doing this?
No, they didn't reveal
that would be
any
the
motive.
First thing out of my mouth. What the hell are you doing, and why the hell are you doing it?
Yeah. I think he might have said why in the car once and got punched in the face, so maybe that stopped them asking again.
Maybe. maybe. Okay, last of the quarter-final matches then.
Yeah.
Halloween Ends versus X.
This one isn't even close.
I mean, you get boobs in X.
You do get boobs in X. Boobs are definitely a plus. But old lady boobs are a minus, so
no,
Halloween Ends wins.
Yeah. I did put Incantation on my bracket because obviously I had Incantation winning it the last time. So yeah, I would have picked Halloween, obviously, when I get to that. Whilst I really did enjoy X, and I am looking forward to seeing Pearl, which is the prequel which they filmed, to see how this all sort of came about. Again, it kind of only started feeling like a horror film in that halfway point, whereas Halloween Ends kind of that first opening sort of segment where the kid gets knocked out the stairs and then just splat. You know, it's wow.
Instant. You know what kind of film it's going to be.
Yeah. And and in terms of the gore, I think there was probably a little like that scene where she's stabbing him in the throat definitely looked better than some of the stuff in Halloween Ends. But again, you're looking at that character, you're looking at Michael when he eventually does sort of come back and start killing people again. That was fantastic. Yeah. And it's good to see that Michael was back in there, even if he did meet his demons. Yeah. And Jamie Lee Curtis. Fantastic. Phenomenal.
Very good.
So, Halloween Ends.
Whee!
Okay. Flipping over to the previous side of the bracket on the left-hand side. We come down to the semi-final match, Prey versus Hellraiser.
I found this really difficult. I did find this difficult. I mean, you can tell through what I've just said during this one video.
Yeah.
How much I love both of these films.
With me, I've been watching Predator a lot longer than I have Hellraiser, but I probably know more about Hellraiser than I do Predator. So again, this is very tricky for me. I have got a winner on my thing, but it was very difficult to pick one.
Yeah, I mean, the one I've picked does not reflect my score. I feel it's sort of what it leaves you with. It's what it leaves you with, isn't it? So, like, and again, maybe it's the thing of which one I've watched more recently than Hell. I picked Hellraiser. Yes. While I've said Prey has that cinematography, Hellraiser has a different kind of just visual appeal. It's not like quite the same with the big vistas and everything like this, but
like, that house was pretty impressive.
That was pretty
the cage around
impressive.
It with the box.
But even things like, which I don't think we even mentioned in our other video, where
Chapter 2.
After when the Cenobites come for them, and just the ground starts changing its form, and even in like the van that they were in, it just extended so that she was taken away from them. Yeah. And those effects looked incredible.
You know what that reminded me of? She just popped in my head is The Grudge. When she's in the bed and she pulls the bed sheets up and somehow the spirit is there and somehow the woman disappears. Yeah. Very similar. I only just tweaked in my head. Yeah.
So it's like, in terms of the cinematography bit, which I loved about Prey, Hellraiser wins out with those crazy effects.
It's innovative effects.
Yeah. And just the visuals of the Cenobites, somehow horrifying yet beautiful at the same time. Just the feeling that it leaves you with, and the tension of just moving the box. I don't know, so much about Hellraiser stuck with me and just felt more like a great horror movie than Prey did, although it was a great horror movie. Yeah. It's a different kind.
I think Prey definitely falls into the trap of it's kind of a bit of a sci-fi horror, which kind of gets a bit blurry at times. I love the visuals in Hellraiser with the house, which we spoke about just now with the cage and the sort of the metal surrounding on it. But not only that, when the box is formed and Leviathan's coming down, it kind of looked as a top-down shot of the house. All the hedges look like the box. Yeah. And that's just that extra mile of detail, that extra little bit of detail in there, which is like, and you blink and you miss it almost. Yeah. Because it's not on the screen for long. But that would have taken ages to do. It's obviously a visual effect. That would have taken so long to do and make it look convincing. And it's only after a couple of split seconds. Yeah. But they went to the effort to do that. Yeah. And I thought it was fantastic.
So, Hellraiser?
Hellraiser, absolutely.
Yeah. We watched some great films this month.
I did switch out Incantation on this. Give me a sec. On the other end of the bracket, once more then, the second of the semi-final matchups. The Black Phone versus Halloween Ends.
Not as close on this one. I feel like the first 8 films were mostly quite easy, and the second 8 films There's been a lot more tricky choices.
I think they keep a lot of the good stuff until it's closer to Halloween time.
Yeah, that's probably it.
You know?
I was quite surprised how much horror comes out all year. Because I always think about, it's a horror film, they'll bring it around Halloween time. But
yeah, no, I was just
not.
saying. Obviously, we looked through that list on IMDb and it was like, wow, that's actually quite a lot.
Yes, so many. Loads that we did not get to.
Not all of it.
Oh no. Yeah. So Black Phone versus Halloween Ends.
Yes.
I don't think there's much question in my mind that it's Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
Wins.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. Again, not to poo-poo all over or like it's a horror video, not to shit all over Black Phone.
we've put a warning at the start.
Yeah. Not to sort of put it down on Black Phone. It's a great film, but again, you've got that nostalgia, you've got the returning characters, you've got that established base in there.
Yeah, and more gore.
And one thing I didn't say actually with Hellraiser is that with Prey, you didn't really feel like one of the Native Americans.
Yeah.
In Hellraiser, you almost felt like you were part of this group trying to save her brother.
Yeah, there was so much
kind of rooted you
relatable
right in there. Yeah. And I think it's the same with Halloween Ends. I'm not like a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy, whatever it is. I can't really relate to being trapped in a dungeon as a child because I'm nearly 40 years old.
Yeah.
Whereas Halloween, anyone could be in a town where a serial killer turns up and you can't catch him for X, Y, or Z, whatever reason, you know? And I feel that was a lot more grounded in that.
I guess with that sort of film as well, because you've watched them for years, it probably feels a bit like you've grown with the characters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that really would
I can't remember what age I watched the first Halloween, but it probably would have been as a teenager.
Yeah, and that's the same age.
That's like half my life at least,
Definitely.
It's the same with Hellraiser, it's the same with Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Alien, Predator.
Yeah.
I watched Predator before I watched Hellraiser. I remember getting Hellraiser, believe it or not, in Tesco, when they still had the DVD section.
Yeah.
Back in the one when I was still living with my mother, back when I was like, I must have been 17, 18, whatever it was, maybe even 19 at that point. And I saw it in Tesco's and I thought, Hellraiser, and it's got the picture of Pinhead on the front, and I'm like, I've heard of this film, I've never seen it. And I think it was on offer. I think it was like a $5. It's like, even if it's bad, I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
Because it might be great. And
can't go wrong with a $5.
And damn, that still holds up. In 1987, that original Hellraiser was made, and it still holds up today. Super. But anyway, we've kind of deviated a little bit from that, yeah. So, Halloween Ends is definitely the winner for me.
Yeah.
Just again, because that nostalgia, you've grown up with it, it's an established franchise. Not only that, I do feel that the tension in Halloween, with the stalking, with the kills, that tension of sort of popping up behind people and grabbing them and stabbing them, like you said with the doctor in the pool and the nurse.
Yeah.
He's there and you stabbing him from behind, and unless you really look hard, you don't really see it. And it's kind of going back to Hellraiser. I don't want to flog that dead horse, but going back to Hellraiser with those tiny details.
Yes.
And I do feel that Halloween does have a few of those tiny details.
Like the reflection in the knife, having Corey standing by the hedge while Laurie sees him, mirroring what would have been in the earlier films. Those little details.
It's full circle. Absolutely full circle.
Yeah.
So absolutely, no doubt in my mind, Halloween Ends wins it. Although Black Phone was a phenomenal film.
It was, yeah.
This is where it's going to get interesting now, isn't it? Because this could go one of two ways.
Especially since this wasn't in your original
No, I know, right?
I got off lucky with my...
Okay. Finals. We've narrowed it down to the two, what we feel are the two best horror films of the year that we have seen out of the 16 that we chose of it.
Yes.
We've obviously seen others, but they didn't factor because we'd already seen them. Hellraiser versus Halloween Ends. The Hell Priest versus Michael Myers.
Who would win in a fight?
Hell Priest. Absolutely no doubt. Hell Priest, they've got the powers of Leviathan.
But would Michael Myers be able to figure out the puzzle box?
I guess if Laurie knows what the box is, you solve it, avoid the blade, stick Michael with it, job done.
Oh, now I want to see that. Let's see that.
And it's kind of like Freddy vs. Jason, the way that came
Yeah.
about, and Jason Goes to Hell, with the mask is sort of laying on the sand. Freddy Krueger's glove comes up, grabs it, and takes it down into the sands.
It's so good.
And that's where Freddy vs. Jason comes from. And as much as people don't like it for whatever reason, I thought that was a hell of a fun ride.
Yeah.
Freddy vs. Jason, I love that movie so much. Not because it's like, oh my god, it's so great, the storytelling is amazing, the cinematography is fantastic. It does have some really cool cinematic moments. but it's just a fun slasher versus slasher movie. Stop being so stuck up. Stop trying to be like, oh, well, I've got to overanalyze everything. Just enjoy the films for what they are.
Yep.
But now I want to see Hellraiser versus Halloween.
Yes.
Damn it.
So
Okay.
Okay.
Hit me, Leanne.
In terms of score, there was 1 point between for these ones. That's how close.
For me, it was 2.
Ooh.
Oh, wait. Hang on. It's a tie.
Have you? Ooh.
I got a dead tie. On my scores, I'm tied.
Oh, I mean.
I have got a winner. I
Yeah.
do know which one I prefer of the two.
Yeah.
And I think that's
I think
pretty much
I do
obvious.
as
Yeah,
well.
it's pretty much obvious which one I picked, considering one of them wasn't even going to be in the final.
Yeah. Mine, I definitely do pick Hellraiser. I think on paper it's close. In my head at the moment it's not. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
For all the reasons we've already said, we won't go over the same ground.
No.
But yeah, I mean Hellraiser as an original film tops it. Even as a sort of reimagining.
So
tops it
the
as
term
well.
that I've heard, including for Scream, is requel.
Requel.
It's a reboot sequel.
That was in Scream, I think.
It's possible. I can't remember if I heard it in that
I think
or
it
somewhere
was
else.
in Scream.
But requel is the one I'm hearing.
Reboot sequel.
A reboot
It's
sequel.
Not quite. It is taking place after, but it's sort of a refreshing it. You know.
Going down the line with we'll talk about Hellraiser a bit more once we've discerned if that is the winner or not.
It is for me.
It's my winner as well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, as much as people are bitching and pissing and moaning all over Halloween Ends, it's a good horror movie.
It is. It is.
It is a good horror movie.
It ticks boxes.
It does. It does. And whether you like the ending or not, I don't really care. We kind of enjoyed it. It's like too many franchises go on and 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 on.
Yeah. You gotta end somewhere.
For example, Paranormal Activity should have stopped at the first one.
Yes, it really should.
Just throwing that out there. Halloween Ends, obviously they've gone in and they've retconned 2 through 8. They don't include the Rob Zombie two films that he did, which are, a reboot. They've kind of gone original Halloween, 2018 Halloween, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. 4 films.
Yeah.
You can binge that out in a night. It's about 7 hours at a guesstimate, I think, of the runtimes. I'm not 100% certain on that one. And you get the full story, start to finish, all the way through. And it's full circle.
Yeah.
Michael is dead. He's put into a compactor. He's just churned up into mulch. He ain't coming back. There ain't no coming back from that.
Nope.
You know, I don't care who. Jason would, but he's got some demon kind of thing. In this particular canon, there is no curse.
Nope.
Michael Myers is not inflicted with this curse that they did in Halloween. It's either 5 or 6. I think it was 5. Don't quote me on that one. But as it stands, he was just a person.
Yeah.
He had maybe a natural strength. It might have been a condition, a mental condition, or a body condition. But he was really difficult to kill.
Yes.
But now he's dead.
He is.
That's it. Game over.
He is
Done.
in teeny bits.
And as such,
Little bit.
the Hell Priest has taken him down to hell.
Yeah.
To serve the Master Leviathan.
Maybe he'll come back as a Cenobite.
Oh God, imagine that. So, one thing I'd really like them to see with this requel stuff with Hellraiser. Hellraiser's the winner. We're going to talk a little bit about Hellraiser.
Yes. Well done, Hellraiser.
Fantastic,
You win the
alright.
prestigious award from the Allen Presents. The best horror movie in our opinions of 2022. Fanfare. Confetti.
You done?
Yeah.
See what I work with. I would really like them to bring back Doug Bradley's Pinhead at some point, or Hell Priest, and kind of see how that would work in there as well. Because obviously it's a different style. The original Cenobites wore leather. They had the mutilation still, but it was more leather. This is extreme mutilation and body deformity, as it were. It'd be interesting to see, like, there's 2 kinds of Chatterer. So obviously the one with Doug Bradley's Pinhead and the one with Jamie Clayton's Pinhead. You've got Dr. Chynard from Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
That was a really intriguing character. Just to maybe establish that universe as a whole. Who's to say that still doesn't happen previously in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah.
And Leviathan has found a new way, new methods, and that's why the Cenobites look different.
Yeah.
Merge it into one universe. That's what I kind of want to see with it.
But the thing with the Cenobites is sort of they're always exploring new pleasures and things. So I
New
guess it could
sensations,
be a natural progression to start having the body mutilation as their clothing or whatever.
Yeah. I'm sort of going back to people were complaining when it first was announced that the Hell Priest was going to be a female. Pinhead was going to be female. There was so much hatred and flack for that. I really hated that. In the books, the comic books that I've read, I haven't read the Hellbound Heart. It might be female, and I'm not 100% certain. In the comic books, which were done by, I think it was Image Comics, or it might be in Boom Studios. The original final girl, Kirsty Cotton, became the Hell Priest. She became the next Pinhead. Yeah. The difference with that, she wore all white. Which is a very interesting visual. Yeah. And I kind of get the feeling that's kind of what they were going for in this sense, because it's not a white gown or a garb, whatever, it's just the skin. Yeah. And it's very pale.
That sort of visual, isn't it?
But it's not Pinhead, aka Doug Bradley pale. It's just a very pale skin tone. Yes. Whereas Doug Bradley obviously had the white skin tone, like no blood in his body still, like he's been drained. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love this movie. I thought it was fantastic.
It's good.
I can't wait for it to come out on 4K. Pick that up and see what special features they got. I'd love to see some of the making of. There is an official Facebook page which have been putting up like behind the scenes videos and photos and stuff, which are really cool. But I kind of want to see an actual like making of or documentary about it, because I think that would be fascinating.
That would be amazing. Great.
All right, Hellraiser, you win. Yes.
More confetti.
Fatality, just kill the competition. Okay, Dan, take us away.
Cool. Thank you so much for watching our series of 3 videos with our lovely Halloween.
Unholy Trinity, should we call it?
I really enjoyed doing this, so I would quite like to do similar next year. But we'll see what these people think. Let us know in the comments if you would like to see something else next year. Did you enjoy watching this? I mean, you're still watching, so I assume so. If you did, give us a like. I mean, if you didn't like it, then there's no point doing it, so let us know.
If you didn't like it, why are you still here?
Would you have picked something else if you were doing this? Were there any films that you think we didn't give enough credit to, perhaps?
Is there any films that we've missed that you think we should watch?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many, we had to narrow it down.
I think there's like 90 odd on that list.
Or we would have been still reviewing them by next Halloween. Yeah, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified when we drop new videos. Follow us on socials. We got a link to the link tree in the description below, where you'll find our latest kind of content that's up, as well as links to all our social media on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. Yeah, I think that's about it. Until next time, have a lovely Halloween.
Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, as she said, because we have such sights to show you.
Happy Halloween.